Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the Fish Room. My name is Travis and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be working on the 300-gallon reef, more specifically replacing a dead Jebao DCP 18,000 return pump with another Jebao DCP 18,000 return pump. And right off the bat, I'm going to answer the question, why am I staying with Jebao given that one of them has died? Well, I got about 5 years or so out of that one pump and it's worked pretty good. I've cleaned it a couple times and maybe that's why it died. I actually got a error 04, which means that the impeller stopped working, but I did notice some frayed wires in the back, which I'll show you guys here in a second. But I went ahead and cleaned it. It still didn't work, gave me an error, so I ordered another one, and they work out pretty good. They're like 170 bucks. I think it's like roughly 5,000 gallons per hour, something like that, and it's pretty good for the 300 as well as the low boys. And I could always add something else. I do have the ability to connect here, and it's taking care of all the reactors, the chiller, refugium, all that good stuff. So works out pretty good, so I'm just going to keep using it. Now, I am going to plumb it a little bit differently, just because it does come with all the new parts, so we'll get into that and see how it works out given the limited amount of space inside the sump, because when I created the sump, I wasn't anticipating having such a large return pump. But yeah, so we'll work on that here in a second. But before we get into that, a quick rundown of what's going on with all this tubing and what happened. So I went to Reefapalooza, got back about, I don't know, like 10 a.m. or something on Monday morning, and about 24 hours later, I came downstairs, and my Apex was screaming at me, saying the temperature was too high. I'm like, what's going on? Yeah, so the return pump was dead. I went ahead and removed it, and I usually have a spare return pump. Listen, sometimes I take my own advice, sometimes I don't. I sold my spare return pump for somebody who needed it because their pump died. They're like, hey, do you have a spare? Can you sell me? I sold it to them, but I never bought myself another one, so helping somebody else kind of set myself up for failure. But either way, I did have some extra pumps, some CJ pumps left over, so I just connected a couple of them to the tank. So actually, one of these is a maxi jet. I think this tubing here is a maxi jet, and then this is one of the CJ pumps, and then the other CJ pump is actually plumbed into the manifold itself right there, which is feeding the frag tanks. Now there isn't a ton of flow coming out of here, but it's enough to keep the system alive. So, and that's super blue, apologize for that, but either way, yeah, it's going, it's working. It's been running since Tuesday, and it's what, Thursday today? So yeah, it's working. It's not perfect. I am noticing some dips in alkalinity, but nothing too crazy. Temperature is relatively stable. After I added that maxi jet, giving us the 3 pumps, it seemed to stabilize a little bit better. But either way, no coral death. Polyp extension is fine. System is running as normal, kinda. No UV sterilizer, and the chiller is offline for now. But anyways, this is actually going to be a process. If anybody knows how I set this tank up and my cable management, most of my stuff is actually relocated behind. Like a lot of the wires are behind the sump here. So given that the controller for the DCP is behind my skimmer here, I'm hoping that the power brick is right there, like where I can grab it. But most likely it's not. It's probably way over here, or it's behind my tank. I don't know. We're going to find out. It's been so long since I've worked on that. I really can't tell you where it is. But either way, I know that this is going to be a huge pain in the A. Yeah, so, okay. So before we get into that, let me just go over the plumbing. As you guys can see, I am using this jerry-rigged kind of PVC to tubing situation. It's not the best, but it worked, and I didn't really have any issues. It's pretty good for maintenance. I can just pop off the tube. It was fine. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to utilize some of the new plumbing that they sent. So we're going to use a 1-inch bulkhead, so I can just put this underneath the sump, or up into the manifold, so when I need to take the pump off, I can just unscrew the bulkhead. So we got that. So we're going to go to 1 inch, and then we're going to take the 1 inch, and I'm going to go to 1 1/4, because that's the smallest fitting for this return pump. So we're going to go from 1 inch to 1 1/4, which will come into the top of this pump, and we're going to use some 90s, which again is not ideal, but given the amount of space in the sump, I really don't have much of a choice. So we're going to come up a little bit, go to a 90, go over, go to another 90, into a 1 inch, and I think that's probably the best case scenario. And of course I am going to lose a little bit of head pressure going to those 2 90s right away, but it's not going to be as bad as this, because this is kind of jerry-rigged. It's like super glued and all sorts of things, and it's what I had, because when I set this up, I didn't have any of these extra pieces. I didn't have these fittings because, well, I don't know what happened to them. They just disappeared. So I had to jerry rig it, and it worked fine for several years. Like I said, about 5 years, 4 or 5 years, and it worked out pretty good. So anyways, I'm going to set up the tripod, and we're going to start this disaster of a project. So bear with me. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is get that controller out and figure out where the power supply is and where it connects over here, because I don't know. We're gonna figure this out. So yeah, let's get started. I'm not gonna remove the cup. I think I'm just gonna leave it in there. I'm gonna disconnect everything and hopefully finagle it around. Hopefully you guys can still see. I'm gonna try to get in here. All right, so let's disconnect the pump. Two connections here. One of them is for the power supply. One of them is for the pump. One. I would just use the power. Like this, I would consider using the same power supply, but I don't know if that's part of the issue. Because why would I have to go chasing the lines if I can just use the same power supply? But again, I don't know if that's part of the error. So it's best to just replace the whole thing. So all right, let's figure out where this is going. This is the pump. Yeah, this is the pump. All right, pump is out. Okay, now let's find the power supply. All right. All right, so it's coming out over the back. So it's back here. There we go, found it. Nice. And it has its own designated cord. Oh, that's perfect. So I just gotta plug it in right there. All right, I just made my day. Nice, let me show you that. So I actually put it on a separate cord to go over to the apex. All right, so it's out. It's good. And it wasn't that bad. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna turn off the video and come back and start the plumbing. Okay, so the skimmer is off, the ATO is off. I'm going to go ahead and unplug these pumps and pull them out. Water draining back into the tank. Here. Pull off the manifold. All right. Appreciate the support. So yeah, we had 2 C-Chase and a maxi jet. So it works. Okay, so I pretty much figured out the plumbing idea. It is going to work sitting against this wall right here. There's plenty of room as long as I don't put the basket on the front, right? So the plan is to go from the smallest fitting, which is 1 1/4 inch. We're going to come down to 1 inch. The 1 inch is going to sit there, and then that's going to connect to the bottom of the union, which will connect to the manifold so I can take it off when I need to do maintenance. So straight shot through. So let's go ahead and get that done. Okay, so everything's connected. Overall, it took about 25 to 30 minutes having to record everything. I'd imagine if I wasn't doing that, it'd probably be a 10 to 15 minute job. But either way, it wasn't too bad. And yeah, let's go and turn it on and hopefully it works. Let's see here. I heard it click. And that's a good sound. Flowing. And it seems like it's going faster. I'll have to check. I have to fix my FMM module, but overall it seems like it's flowing a little bit faster. Let me open up the UV. I went ahead and turn that off. Alright, so that's dumping back into the refugium. Make sure everything's open. So we have our, it's open there. So we have the manifold that's feeding the chiller for here, so that's good. Carbon reactor, we can turn that back on. All right, we have our main, that's good. I will have to check. I feel like there's more flow because I'm getting some gurgling sound over here, so meaning that there's more flow coming through. So we'll have to make the adjustment. But overall, everything looks pretty good. The flow is decent. I might even be able to dial it up more. So, yay. It is working, and I got a mess to clean up. So, lesson learned here. Let's see. Keep a spare return pump. And if you sell one, buy another one. That's about it. So, if you guys have any questions, let me know. My overall thoughts on the Jebao is they've worked really well for me in the past. I'm going to keep using them, and yeah, pretty happy with it. So, either way, guys, I'll see you next time. Peace.